up.
It's just unfortunate. Kind of get caught off guard. Delays down. Hadi's already eliminated. KSM just gets sent back to the lobby with the rest of his team. And that's one team right there, Monster, that's going to have to be in a win and you're in situation going into game 5. But at least they have one more chance. And sometimes all you need is that one chance overall, especially if another team kind of qualifies here in this game, alleviating the pressure at the bottom side of that consistency leaderboard.
Yeah, game 1 showed this, right? Like, anything can happen in the end game. Teams can definitely squeeze out victory royales. Against all odds, it's not going to be easy. Watch this. This is a surge battle if I've ever seen one, as trios just start to collapse inwards on the edge of the zone. Well, at least one thing's for certain, no other third parties are going to be joining here, so they'll just have time to get into some clean fights here. Unfortunate for Batman Banks' team there to actually lose his duo when they just did enough to kind of alleviate themselves from the pressure. And then they fall under the threshold as well, so it wasn't like they really have to rush to it, right? Like, we're at that point in the tournament where things are just moving a lot quicker.
Perfect time to rotate over them. So Jace kind of make that rotation early on. He kind of started off this fight and basically pulled apart two different trios throughout this whole situation. With or without Roja, I think they kind of made the perfect play there. And with the zone moving away, I know they probably want to play this one out as a duo, Monster. It's brutal boxcars. It's not too far, but they could chance it if they do have the heals to try to go north.
Yeah, I'm thinking that they're thinking that. I mean, the markers were out on the map, so we'll see. End up making a play right now. Gary Angel aim red. Southern zone pool right now. All the way just on the outskirts of the brutal here. Between the Lone Wolf Slayer. How much lobby focus. Look at that. Yeah, angles of which all the fires coming in. North, south, east, west.
And sometimes, even though like Gary has the DMR, he's not going to do a ton of damage in that spray. As long as you start the lobby spray, even if you don't get the elimination, that's one less player. That's one less team in your path to cross that finish line. Down below, Edgy, Chance, their full trio, just not taking too many risks. They've kind of already did that while taking down Peterbot earlier in this game. So they're just trying to fly under the radar, move and go after eliminations when you have to. Cowper, Fred, Aaron, they're just going to stagger themselves back just a little bit. 2 tick in the zone for now, but they're definitely going to be on the clock. You don't want to get caught in that 5 tick, knowing there's such a massive pull across the map. They do have that med miss smoke that I do think they're going to try to utilize here right before they try to miss their way out.
I'm thinking. Trying to figure out the game plan right now. I know they want a med miss, but this team in front of them, they're pretty much putting a big target on their back right now. But they are in the storm here. There goes the focus shots coming in.
Yeah, that green cloud, the med miss smoke, it's also a huge sign of weakness. Even if you have shields, you might think they're low HP. Edge of zone, you got to get forced back further and further. Soneto Cam Osid continue on this freight train of a journey that they've had on the day. 210 points. Top of the leaderboard in terms of consistency, always finding these opportunities as Happy gets tagged up not once but twice. The knock comes to fruition and he fires off yet again to clean up both of those eliminations, and that's going to bring their total here to 9, almost reaching that double-digit mark with still more than half of the team still left in the lobby.
And you know what, some upgrades there as well. Look, Dash has come out of that. Saw a little med miss there for a moment, so some pretty big pickups on the outskirts and the backside of the Lone Wolf layer. Keep in mind that's natural elevation as well, so they're working their way top down right now. They're not going to have any problems to kind of situate up for a potential high ground now with that refresh there, so could be all she wrote. I mean, they definitely have enough points now. They are going to finals. They want to win the game now and give others a chance. It's pretty much up for grabs here.
136. You're kind of seeing like the difference of how players are handling the storm surge, where they're above or below, barely above. 136, even though that can flip at the drop of a hat. They're staying confident, looking towards the backside of the zone where everybody's stacked up to continue to fire shots. They're going up a little bit, falling down, but they're making sure kind of never really fall below the damage threshold. As Caliper trying to alleviate some of that pressure. As Fredbot Aaron trying to heal up, but Fredbot's not going to get that chance. He's going to get taken down. That's Curve. That's Josh and Tyler on the other side of those builds. Just continuing to not only steal away control, but steal away as much of that positioning on the other side as possible.
Yeah, very good edits there by Caliper, but they cannot make any risky moves right now. They are too close to the finish line here to drop it now. After this, we will be jumping into the last game of the evening. Looking from the top down, Edgy's trio completely isolated, somewhat center. They're gonna have the longest of the rotates here to come. Curve, Tyler, and Josh make an early move here on the outside. Aaron and Caliper, big decisions to make now. Do they use, and I'm assuming Aaron's last misform here, or go with the dash? It seems like they want to dash their way through and kind of reserve what's left of the last misform there.
Typically, if it's the last one, you kind of want to save it as a get out of jail free card. Hope to not get boxed up. 12 above. That's not going to stop the pain from coming your way. As Dox goes down, Jay and Chris are still there. They barely get themselves above the damage threshold, forcing a sacrifice on not one, but both of their teammates to make sure Chris has a chance at survival. Two teams went down before he did, so at least he got that many placement points before getting sent back to the lobby. The pain all around the lobby can still be felt. The Sonetto's already down. Osid popping out his last bit of resource with the Medmis smoke going down. Cam is there behind him, but the full team in front is going to cut them short.
Who's got high ground though? NPen. Zen.
Ooh.
Nut. Just, you know, watching from up above. And if there's a time to win, what better time than when Peterbot's trio's not in this endgame, who are obviously that X factor to anyone's situation here. They're set up. Not a lot of builds, but they're here.
Yeah, 51 points, barring like a high elimination game in second place. They're almost in a back-to-back win and you're in to try to get that global, or just a grand finals spot secured. 51 points, 192. You see all the investment they had in the materials to try to hold on to that position. And they're going to continue to invest. They think there's not too many teams in the lobby that they have to worry about contesting their high ground.
I think it's now or never for them. They're at only 50-something points, right? It's really not that much, and it's either that or chance make another full end game. But look at this, Tyler, Curve, and Josh, they want to put a ribbon on this night as well. They're starting to eye up that high ground, and if you're playing high, you gotta know to start targeting those secondary layers. Do not let them get comfortable like this. So it might come down to being inexperienced here, but we'll see. I see Edgy knocked in a feed there too, so big names starting to fall now. You know, Yusuf King Peace trying to kind of gather their situation, but they're running low on material. Here, Fred Caliper is kind of gathering more and more information here. Now they're at the 180 point threshold mark. This is big. Big team jumps into their box. Caliper's left by himself, just trying to inch out a top 10 here.
Yeah, he has to wait for that cooldown on that misform in order to use it again. His death, he's going to get dropped, sales, and encrypted, forced to change away from those layers. Only dash out when they have to try to grab the materials. And positioning in sort of the front side of zone is Zabi, Neko, Fishy are on a roll here in the fourth game of the day. Better late than never, but it's actually NPen. NPen goes down. They ran out of materials, forced to drop down low, and are getting dismantled one by one.
Yeah, it looked like Zen trying to play a miss. That miss there in the zone. He's going to also fall now to the rest of the zone there. And what could have been a big chance opportunity for them to win a game kind of slips through their fingertips. But look at Caliper go. 1 HP, falls inside the top 10. Way to clutch one out for himself. Meanwhile, Yusuf doing the same for his team. 147 here. He should have actually shot the gun right there and got the potential siphon, but misses his chance to do so. Now look at this, another med miss. Deep in the storm play here, focusing the high ground team, breaking them off the height, forcing them to start using their misforms. Cyclops dashes on in. This is their chance to go on and go for height, but they don't really have a lot of mats to work with here.
No, they don't. They don't really have a lot of mobility either, as Josh is going to get a knock onto one, gets the elimination, siphon just in time to try to keep him healthy. Him and Curve are going to continue to use those builds, a little bit of mats to try to maintain their position above. Angel, Gary, Aimred are just trying to dominate down below. They have all the position on the low ground front side of zone, but there's a team behind them trying to heal off. That's Cynics, that's Polar, that's Surf, and that could be a distraction that they're ready to take as they chop down high ground and go all out, ready to challenge for it. Tyler drops down, doesn't take too much much damage. Nobody really contesting from up above. Even with the shot right there onto Tyler to drop the shield down, he's not showing any fear.
Just doesn't get worse for Josh, Curve, and Tyler. They're the other team literally focusing them, forcing them once again to defend their high ground position. Now it's all up to Josh to go back up and kind of reinforce this. The zone's gonna bounce back. The low ground team starts to finally make a move. Curve takes some fall damage, but the misform keeps him alive just for a moment there. 40 HP left there. He can't mess with the zone. The low ground team thinking about going for a pickup here. Three's better than none. They're gonna go ahead and commit to it. This might be the biggest mistake though. They have let Josh full reheal here. Now the high ground team is back in this one.
And there's still a solo. He left long ago, started his heal off journey. Josh gets a nice shot onto one, but unable to get the Siphon. Curve still alive. 240 on the Chug, and he's ready to ride the zone all the way to the finish. A risk that he's ready to take. The Superman Sprite breaks down high ground for a moment. That's Aimred all the way back. He's much further than I thought, but the elimination circ, that's Siphon. That's an extra HP for Curve. Cynics needs to go for this elimination onto Curve. He is a huge disadvantage when it comes to the heals, but Curve is making sure to create distance yet again. Use the medallion, the speed. He gets the elimination onto Cynics. He doesn't know where Aimred is at. He started his heal off long ago, and it's not going to matter. Curve, Tyler, and Josh have qualified for the Major 3 finals, and Monster, they just alleviated the pressure. They opened up a spot at the bottom of the leaderboard.
For it to come down to the Siphon to give him the amplifier to get that extra HP. Dude, I had no idea Aimred was so deep in the storm there. It would have still came down to that misform. You saw Curve kind of cycling through his builds there. Pressure kicking in. He's like, wait a second, how's this game not over yet? What is going on? That was an incredible endgame. And so deserving, Jacob. Tyler, Josh, and Curve successfully retook high ground from Zen's trio and M-Pen there, but also defended against two and then fought in a clean 3v3 on the low ground. What a game.
Yeah, that was definitely just one of those that goes down in the record books as a thing to remember for Josh, Tyler, and Curve. And you've seen how far away Aimred was, but he just started his heal off way too early, left down to just bandages. Curve is able to clutch up and even still had more left in the tank. They're headed to the grand final. Zeke, one game left. What do you got for us?
Holy, oh my, Aimred, what? That was crazy. I love that this is Shadow's old Tyler. So we got to see Shadow compete yesterday, right? And now they pick up Josh and they pick up a victory out in like the craziest way we've seen so far. I'm still just shocked at like the hoops they had to jump through there at the end. And then, you know, just put yourself in the players' shoes there for a moment. They're like, okay, this other guy was just eliminated. It's a 1v1. Who else is left, bro? It's just me. I've got misform. Where are you? And then, of course, we're to come down to those final few moments. They have the Chug Jug. They're good to go. That means they're moving on to the grand finals. This has just got to be an amazing feeling for this trio.
Yeah, especially like you said, it coming down to the heal off, and in those moments when it is like a 1v1, you see that there's one more player left. You just don't understand exactly where they are on the map. What kind of heals do they have? Obviously, so many players have been eliminated on the low ground. Maybe they found some med kits. But Curve, Tyler, Josh, we heard Jacob talking about it, just how well they played the high ground, even after it was taken away from them, reclaiming it, and then playing the low ground really well when there was just so much action going on. I mean, Curve, Tyler, and Josh, this isn't their first FNCS, although for Josh, this is just his second FNCS finals. So big props to this trio right here, really showing up.
I mean, Josh did an incredible job as well, right? We saw him hand over the meds over to Curve, right? So they knew that we're going to play the heal off in the hands of Curve, and Josh did such a good job of dropping down and making sure the trio was taking some damage down below. So that way the heal off would kind of come in from Curve. But yeah, Curve deserves some insane recognition for that as well, right? Making sure he did damage to every part of that trio that was on the low ground, right? And then instantly recognizing when to stop popping those Chug Jugs because he saw that the Siphon heal started to come in to maximize the heal off. Very, very heads up play for him right there. Super, super clean game.
Those little tech things, right? That's what we like to see. That's like that skill level, the self-expression of Fortnite that you get to see in those moment to moments, so well executed. Guys, a single game left to go. After this break, we take one last ride before we prepare ourselves for the grand finals next week. I don't even know what time's going. We'll see you right after this break. Don't go anywhere. Don't do it. Welcome back, everyone, to the FNCS. One last game to go. Where did today go? I don't know. Guys, that last game was pretty crazy, right? We watched Curve, Tyler, and Josh get themselves a victory royale. Now we'll be seeing them compete in the grand finals. And of course, I'm sure their eyes are set on the global championships and one of the 2 spots available in NA. But there's also a couple other things that happen, and we have to kind of remind ourselves what we're playing for, right? It's a win you're in situation, or we end in the top 5, which is basically the top 10 to move on to grand finals. There's a few trios on the bubble, Kelly, and the fact that one of these trios got themselves a victory royale and pulled the top end of the lobby up means they pull the lower end of the lobby up as well, right? So now we are starting to look at Aim Red, Gary, and Angel. They're finding themselves currently in that bubble, right?
Yeah, and what's kind of interesting to me is that this bubble is quite separated from actually even just 11th place on. Right now, there is a 30-point difference between 10th and 11th place, which 30 points isn't necessarily this huge jump, but in the grand scheme of things, especially as like consistency comes into play here, that's actually quite a big jump for a lot of the teams outside of that bubble to be able to claim. So I'm not trying to say that this is a shoo-in. We already know who's going to be making it into the global champ or the grand finals, but I mean, a lot of these teams from 11th down are pretty much going to have to go for the victory royale.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy stuff right there. I mean, what a clutch game, right? Zeke, we kind of came out of game number 4 right there, and you didn't even kind of give it a reaction to the Curve winning the game, you were like, Aim Red. And yeah, I mean, that's a good shout, honestly, right? Because that's second place right there. Aim Red and Co., they were in 18th after game number 3. They only had 63 points. So incredible clutch for Aim Red to kind of go out there and utilize the campfire. And yeah, turning the page here, there's a bunch of teams kind of in the spotlight here. One of them's gotta kind of be Edgy's trio, right? And they've been under a lot of heat today from Peterbot's trio, right? And going into game number 5, the question is going to be, is that going to repeat?
It's a tough situation, man. It's a tough, especially with the last game, you know, like you don't want that to happen. But if it is going to happen, they need a plan, right? We also wanted to highlight here, Osid Cam popping off. I mean, what in the heck? Soneto alongside of them, 231 points, basically in first place now, right after that last victory. Royale pulling the whole lobby up. They have been very consistent, right? Only having one game outside of the top 10. But even in that one game, which was a 14th place, they had 10 eliminations. So these guys are going crazy. They're slaying out. I guess my question would be, can we translate this to a grand finals lobby?
It's really hard to say in comparison to the group stages, honestly, because we don't know what like the lobby is going to look like until we do get into the grand finals next week. So although they're playing absolutely incredible today, and honestly they deserve all the praise, they really have been so consistent. I don't think a lot of us were expecting some trios to be more consistent than Ritual Cold and Peterbot. But it's just so hard to say what we watch here today and then what we are expecting to see in grand finals is two very different things.
That's so true. Really quick, before we get into the last game, is this it? Vivid, could we see a win from Peterbot? Could we see them finally take it serious and get a victory royale?
I mean, in my opinion, it depends on what they want to do. They want to go for that continued early aggression they've been going for, or do they want to play for the win? Hopefully for the win.
What do you think, Kelly?
I think they're going to get the win. I think they're going to get 20 eliminations. Watch it here happen right now.
20. Okay, well, Kelly looked at my script. Don't worry about it. We're going into the last game of group number 3. Is it Peterbot's game? Let's find out.
The questions have been asked, Monster. Who's going to get this last victory royale? And the implications could be so big. If a team inside that probably has 180 or 4 wins, they will unlock a spot at the bottom of the leaderboard. Game 5 is ready. Let's jump into the last one of the day.
I'm definitely with you there, Jacob. Game 5 is ready, and we are here. We get front row seats, of course, to the action here. And Zeke had a great question. Is Peterbot going to take this one very seriously and try to pull home that victory royale, or is he going to go for the upsets of the century? Because you know what, if you really think about it, the longer he's alive, kind of running around the lobby, the more likely he is to continue to shut down finals dreams for team after team.
Uncontested yet again, and then that's exactly the case. We saw it in group 1, we saw it in group 2. The longer that some of these teams are going to be alive, the harder it's going to be to even just get points. Even if they don't run into you, overall they're just stealing away possible points. 3 points per elimination. When teams go down inside of the top 17, that's where the placement points start to ramp up. So there's a certain point in the game, depending on where you're at in the leaderboard, you just need to make it that far.
I just love how cold is full trolling. He's just embraced the fun this weekend as we're getting into things. Arsenic, Plasma Fine Bluish had, some of their best showings in the last 2 games here. See what they can do now. Is this going to be somewhat of a miracle comeback run for them as we approach into game number 5? Do keep in mind, too, it kind of started off contested on the day, right? Like, things kind of changed game after game as teams qualify, spots open up. Gam, Sid, and Soneto, one of those few teams that have definitely gotten enough points now to also have a seat at the table. Butterfrogs had how many teams here? Hold up.
I'm just laughing because Osid and them basically had every single person here at their drop spot. I think players realize, oh no, wait a minute. Soneto Cam Osid, top of the leaderboard in consistency. It'd be crazy for us to challenge them again. They looked at Flooded Frogs. It's a wide open spot. 1, 2, 3, and even a 4th team if you count just towards the east, all landing on this side of the map. There is a Spire that lands here as well, so even if you do not take the fight right out of the gate, this is, I feel like, going to be such a drawn out situation that is kind of meant for a third party to come crash this. Soneto.
That is true. I mean, this is just ripe for the taking. But you know what? If you allow a team like, you know, Kaji there to jump on that shrine, you might as well just let them have the Spire, get the big turnout and call it a day. Cryptic Sales and Death, though, at the north side here, not too far off. Already pushing out some of those other teams that might have had those misfortunate drops.
It's just kind of tough because they're in a situation with only 66 points so far. They either need a monster second place finish with double-digit plus eliminations, or they just simply need to win out. Back-to-back games so far, though, they've had this Spire at their disposal, and not only it's going to get them loot, you see them looking off in the distance for Surge, they're also going to get the superhero experience from that Spire. So this could, in theory, be a very, very good start for them, and you kind of see the edge of the zone towards the north. They're kind of getting a hint of where it needs to go.
Look at this thing. What is Redbot using the event to build a super base here in a second? Kind of cool to watch in the early game, actually.
Saving some time. You can kind of see now that they're uncontested the past 2 games, they're kind of spreading out more and more and more, covering more ground. Even one of them, I believe it might be Caliper, just rotating all the way towards the northwest of Utopia. Another Spire lands over there, so they're not only trying to set up their bases for their Storm Surge here, center in the map, but they're also trying to take that XP away, all the extra loot. You know, they're going to toss it over and try to consolidate into one spot.
Yeah, and that's the difference when you have the drop to yourself. But in this little second here, Arsenic just completely rose up on Math here. He didn't even see him, hear him, or have time to react. Bluish, Plasmify, Arsenic, like we said, just finding their stride. It's a little late in the tournament, but not too late, as they're at the 6-digit threshold now.
Yeah, I think they started maybe 30, 40 points down away from where that bubble needs to go. So they give themselves a good fighting chance. And this is a team that's kind of inside of that bubble already. Phenom, King Peace, Yusuf. And this kind of goes to the mental games that we were talking about. How do you play in the last and final game of the day? Depending on how good you are as Bluish, they're going after that tower. They want the eliminations. They don't want to just take chance. Maybe they make their way in through consistency. They want to make sure they give themselves a fighting opportunity by getting 3 points per elimination here.
Seems clear they want to play for an end game in like a double-digit elim game. Like they're playing very, very aggressive, and you know what? I respect it because it's off to a pretty decent start already. They have that 1 elim, so they know this is, you know, a fractured team to say the least. Bluish got kind of control of the side. There it is. Sneaks right around Snake there. It's another secure elimination. All we gotta do is get the last one now.
Yeah, I don't even really see anybody either in the surrounding area, rotating in from resistance space, nothing from Flooded Frogs. So they have all the time in the world to finish this, and 71 more damage coming out from Bluish. Apple's not getting any time to heal. You can see him trying to drop that med miss smoke, but seconds too late. They're going to clean that one up. 3 eliminations, 9 points to start this game off, and what I feel like most importantly on top of that is the Storm Surge they were able to get.
Yeah, they're off to a super hot start right now. If they can just get another team elim kind of early, it'll be set up for a good endgame run to the top here. Cube, Belex, Cyclops, pressure's on right now for this team to make their first finals. They're one of the several right now in the running.
Yeah, I just saw 200 pump and dump and just trying to get out, using those dashes, trying to create distance. He's getting chased down. I think he has some help once he's able to make it over the side of that mountain. But right now, nobody's really trying to lend him the helping hand. That's Rezzy's there, but he's trying to play the just in case things go wrong. I can play the reboot card, but finally his position is going to be revealed. Chris, Jay, Docs, they're pushing forward, but there's a whole nother trio leaving Crime City, trying to lurk and shadow them all along the way out.
I like this play there to kind of play the edge of the mountain here, get that high ground elevation, possibly trick the other teams into clashing. Fights continue though for Edgy and Chance here. They gotta keep the fight right now with the Lone Wolf Lair.
It's only top
It's
25
tough. This is
still.
2 teams on the bubble.
Yeah, relatively early too. And Murphy's one of those teams to I know it was up until game 3, game 4 already passed, but they really weren't taking too much Storm Surge ticks, so they've always been on top of Storm Surge, and it's because they've had so much space over here towards Lone Wolf Lair. No teams really kind of interrupting their game plan up until now. Edgy, Chance, and their trio, even though they're disengaging away from this spot now, they're kind of putting a wrench in the game plan, slowing it down, maybe 1-2 steps slower, and kind of forcing them to try to change things up, especially with the zone pushing further and further towards the south. And you kind of see there on the edge, Crime City, Foxy Floodgates. It has a big pull towards the southeast overall.
Little update on Aim Red after that monstrous second place surprise heal off there, putting them very much in the conversation. And that's what one game can do for you. It can really just put you up there. That's why can't count out anyone that's just really trying to go the distance right now. Any of these teams can make something big happen. I think every group have actually had some pretty close encounters, some lucky scenarios go down for some.
Especially a little bit towards the end of the game as King Peace is already down. Yusuf, Phenom. It's a must to try to disengage out of here. And it looks like they're making their way over towards Demon's Domain. And this is where you got to be careful. We know that Peterbot's kind of been on a wild kind of journey, road tripping around the map, trying to hunt out Edgy, Chance, and the trio, and try to get those eliminations. So you almost think, if you think the way the trend of the game has been playing, it might be a smart decision to go back to Demon's Domain. There might be a lot of space and even scraps to find once you get your teammate back.
Taking form here. Back to Maribi's team. So Lone Wolf Lair obviously had a little bit of action for them with Chance and Edgy's trio, but now going towards the Supernova. So kind of opting to play into the Storm here, possibly thinking of course, trading things in for the Spire here for these upgrades. But I'm curious because that's not a full team at the Supernova. It's actually a multiple of teams seems to be rotating through there.
Yeah, it's just hard. It's one of the best drops on the map. The original team that landed there is still there as well. Team's just trying to find whatever scraps are going to be left behind, especially since, you know, Spires, you could take that rail, boost yourself all the way to brutal box cars. You're able to cover distance while saving some of that rotational utility. So it's just kind of a hot spot, so to say, especially at this point in the game, what it is pulling towards the south. You see the edge of the zone just north of Shining Spans, which means it's going to continue to pull towards the south, even the eastern edge. Utopia City, there's a lot of space over on this side of the map, and that's exactly they're trying to use it. They're fighting against Phenom. Phenom's at 150 points. If he buzzed the last one live, they have to sit and watch, and hopefully the point threshold favors them, as Phenom just a sliver of HP. He finally goes down, but that's good. Give me a breath of fresh air here. Him going down, which means his teammate is at least still in the game.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I doubt, you know, they have enough. I think I was gonna say it was 150, so like they got a long way to go. Probably at least 15 or 20 points. That's being generous if it doesn't push very high. It seems like Peterbot, Ritual, Cold kind of sitting on that 182 line right there. Almost the gatekeepers, if you will.
Peterbot is just being such a nuisance with that exotic. Even if he's not landing damage, just kind of discombobulating, hiding some of those audio cues. They get that first elimination so far. Moving closer and closer to the north side of the map before they make a whole 180 turn, trying to go right back towards the zone. They have more than enough heals. They got the extra dashes on the ground, so mobility and even HP is not going to be a worry for them in a long time.
There's no pressure in sight for them right now. They are cruising their way through this game. Couple more elims and will be definitely up towards the top. Take that momentum into endgame. Get the bigger picture here. A lot of teams still inside the zone trying to make their way south.
Yeah, Rojo just gets fresh rebooted. That's Jaced and Possessed did their best to try to get their teammate back in the game. Immediately gets hunted down by Chris J and Dox. Only 100 points of damage, realistically, for their Storm Surge, but they got their second elimination, 109 points. Still got a mountain to climb and a long journey ahead of them, but they're going ahead and kind of easing up off all that pressure with each and every elimination that they get. Each and every team that they do take down is... Does look like Void just kind of taking that railing, trying to boost himself to brutal box cards. Whether or not he has the reboot card will be a different story, though.
Bluish, Plasma Fire, or Cynic. And a nice outskirts rotate after getting all those elims kind of early on. Looks like N-Pen's going to be found in the feed there to the hands of Zavi. So the dream for Zenning crew might be out the window. Not still alive, kind of hiding out in the base. Yeah, all the teams are going to go on and disengage, though. Seems like not too much attention showing up here. Sales desperate to make a rotate here and now. They need to get a med miss down now.
Yeah, another one fresh off the reboot. Cynics is going to go down. For them, that's an easy cleanup. The most important part about that cleanup, you see Death's HP going back up because of that siphon. There's a huge lack of HP in the overall inventory, and that's exactly, they're going to box up Sales. They have no choice. Let him go down. Encrypted still healing, finding some crucial bandages for their journey. Even with the revive going back on up, the big thing for them is how far away the zone actually is. We know the safe spot is just not too far away, but where do they actually need to rotate? Because if it's close, I'm not too worried about them. If it's far, I'm going to start shaking a little bit.
I'm surprised they didn't start, like, honestly misforming sooner. They could have gotten a little bit more distance out of their positioning and probably not even fallen in the first place. But, you know, things kind of work out either way, given that they caught an elimination, got a couple extra bandages. So we'll see how this ends up playing out now. Dash Bright's coming out here as well. Another team playing the zone right now, Polar. Cirque here, we saw Cynics fall to the hands of Peterbot's trio. They didn't really have full visuals on this entire team here. The team med missing there. That's a problem.
Yeah, that's Zavi, Neko, and Fishy. Sales in them, they just kind of didn't wait whether they saw him or not. They're just focusing on their rotation with a lack of heals. They have to make it a primary focus. The other team, not so much. You saw double med miss, med kits in the inventory. They can stagger themselves back for as long as they want. So hopefully the zone doesn't pull too far away. You're seeing Rainbow Fields kind of in the center, so that might be the blessings they were looking for. Sineto, Cam, and Osid just kind of hunkered down in one of these houses. They don't want to give away too much of their position, especially since you see they're separated as individuals, trying to cover more ground and get as much information as possible.
Ritual. We're moving there in the distance.
So we know they have Demon's Domain, Mythic Spire. Wondering if they were able to get the medallion on top. I gotta imagine so. As King Peace does go down, them Yusuf and Phenom still trying to get that revive train, get back into the game. We said it yourselves early on, 150 points might not necessarily be enough. 185, more so the case if Yusuf goes down in the feed as well. Hopefully Phenom was able to stay alive.
Yeah, that is the question for them right now. Who's gonna pull out that last game stretch for consistency points? This is the time when it matters most. All that pressure on the shoulders for some to make their first potential grand finals. Any one of these teams in the 90s to the hundreds can definitely still do it. And we talked about, because Peterbot's team is in this game, they're going to end up, you know, kind of affecting the way things are going to play out in the end game. So this still can very much be favorable for few. Their competition gets, you know, potentially taken out a little early. Teams that want to make their first right here. Belex, Cube, Cyclops already at 146 right now.
And they were essentially the line. Obviously, you know, if a team above them wins, they kind of move up that spot. But as of now, in terms of 5 teams on that leaderboard, they are the team in 5th place. 143, only 2 points difference between them, Aimred, Gary, and Angel's team. So essentially could come down to just one elimination difference as Nuts finally getting chased down. Not sure if he was able to get any of those reboots back onto NPen and Zen. So this is a lot of pressure on him as a solo, especially with his own continuing to pull towards the south side of the map and them looking like they want to get aggressive in this situation. But it's all about how long they can stay deep in the zone. And Nuts definitely on a timer himself. He has no extra HP, less than 60 overall, no resources to grab. He has to try to get this one elimination onto Jay, separate while he can. The shots can be fired. 2 tick, so he's on the clock. Couple of seconds is all he has left, and Nut does go down. Him, Zen, and NPen will have to play through the LCQ.
I wouldn't be surprised if this team doesn't even make it out. Not only to, you know, the 5 tick, but like I was thinking just Storm Surge might just turn on. Like we are at zone 6 and they're still in the zone here. Yeah, reality kind of kicks in for everyone, and it just makes you wonder like why stay around for one player that long. Unfortunate for them. They had a real chance. Multiple teams runs coming to, and now this is the last game here and now. Anyone that wins is going straight to grand finals. After that, it's all about consistency.
I was talking about that one team that was basically the line Cyclops, Cuban Fleeks. Well, this is the team that is 2 points shy of that. Aim Red, Gary, and Angel, they're positioning pretty well, trying to play to their game plan, to their strengths, not taking any big fights early on, not taking any big risks. Let the lobby kind of do that to each other, especially with still some big names here. Some of them still in the game. Osed, Sedetto, and Cam being one of them. One of the more aggressive teams that we have in the lobby so far. Skater, Murby, and Ralphie. So the least amount of Storm Surge ticks out of every team in the lobby, and you're seeing how they're doing it. They're just constantly pressuring teams. They're constantly getting Storm Surge and cleaning up these eliminations.
Saw a little glimpse too of Edgy and Chance just as a duo, kind of a lot. I'm actually curious how many points they might have. I get to really keep a pulse on them of whether or not they have a chance to make top 10 essentially through consistency. But this is an end game, so placing points will start being rewarded here. This is where it really begins to matter.
Yeah, this is where it's going down just one placing too soon, one elimination short. Could really tell the tale of your season in the group stages. The Cynics Polar. They're having to do this one without Cirque. There might be a small chance with a couple reboot vans nearby, but I'm not sure it's worth the risk. It's basically a beacon letting everybody know where you're at and what you're trying to do. As it continues to pull towards the southeast, Monster, if you kind of look at where the zone is at now, more than half of it has some open water, not much land for them to kind of set up at.
And like group 1, day 1 right there. Little outpost enclave endgame action here. This time though, big portion, like you mentioned, is in that water. Is going to make it basically unplayable. So this is going to be huge congestion that's going to start taking form here. And that's going to affect things a lot. 48 players in the game. Look at that packed player count right on top of one another. You even have the southern teams like, I don't like this little bit of landmass. Let's get into the rest of the action here.
Oh,
I
and
don't know if
Cynics
this
need
is
to do
good
exactly
or
that.
tougher for the duos.
Below the threshold, you're kind of seeing Toons and team. They're like, please come over here. Pull towards the southwest. We need this. The only team on that edge of the map, so it's gonna be very, very treacherous, yes, as it pulls all the way over. The timing's of the essence for them. They have an extra landmass over towards the north. They can try to get to that and then try to cut across before every other team. You're seeing everybody trying to make that rotation first. Fredbot's gonna go down 192 points. They've all but sealed their deal. Maybe make it safe, get over 200, but they quickly use that misform to reposition ahead of the path of a lot of these teams. One of the farthest pulls in the lobby, and you're seeing so many of them still busy on this rotation.
Gotta go east here. The Caliper and Aaron. You know, they're just like sitting on their edge, like thinking if they made it or not just yet. 190 surely has to be enough, but you never know until it's all said and done.
Oh, no.
Oh, look at this. Chance ends up falling. So I wasn't sure if they actually had Dukes alive. Edgy jumps in the box, tries to actually fight him. And Aaron comes out of nowhere, but Edgy was quick enough to react there. And Peter Bot, once again, somehow finds his mark when it matters most. Now, Edgy being hunted here. The dash comes through. Looks to try to catch him up, but shots come in and Peterbot's caught off on the outskirts. But look at the strength of the medallion with the dashes there. Somehow bails himself out.
I can't believe he just survived that, but he saw that he got the elimination on the chance. He knew Edgy and the rest of the team was going to be nearby, and he kind of just played for it. He did all or nothing. Now the med miss smoke going down. Hopefully they do have that miss for him, because that's going to make it easy for them to close the distance. Maybe they have the dashes. I know Peterbot doesn't have much. Maybe a cutback of the zone. The implications of this could be huge, because they already got their spot near the top side of the leaderboard. I know we're predicting a big win, but so far it's looking bleak.
Well, you know, very few teams are going to have like 4 med miss in their inventory. So they are one of the ones that can actually make a full recovery inside of the storm right now. And Cole is known to carry that miss for him. So I think they are still in this game, but give it a second. High ground starting to take place here. Fabio, Kyrie, Chef looking pretty good right now. Just a shot shy of an elimination right there. Could have been a huge recovery opportunity for them right there. But look at this, going back over this kind of water in this low terrain here. So it's really going to open up high ground to be even more susceptible to kind of be secured for them right now. And Aim Red clutching up Jacob.
So I wouldn't wish this onto anybody. Literally the line trying to hold on to it from below the storm surge threshold to right up above.
Edgy's
Even
down.
Edgy getting taken down. The full team sent back to the lobby. LCQ they go, but Peterbot having to ditch Cold, leaving him out to dry. Repositions the front side of zone, waiting for Ritual to catch up. Aim Red has a lot of pressure on his shoulders to continue to try to get at least a few more placement points. Top 11 situation. He goes up above, flying high, all or nothing, but drops right back down. Saw Cam, saw Sinetto, saw O, said, nope, never mind. Let's try to figure out somewhere else to hide. There's only one build left and a ton of pressure on his shoulders.
165 points here. Peterbot just ran right past Aim Red. Luckily, he didn't ask for any action there. Oseed, Cam, and Sinetto want to close this one out in glorious fashion. You know what? I do respect it because they managed to pull this through. This will open up the standings for others. Peterbot's obviously got those pistols that are just chucking players off, but look at that. He ends up falling there. 7th place now. Things are going to end up all onto the hands of Ritual. They've definitely got enough points, but it's just about showing off at this point here and now. Nick it in hand.
Ritual. Yeah, he has no choice. He's getting pressured. Instead of trying to make his way through that, possibly getting tagged up, he's going to buy himself a little bit more time. Maybe find an alternate route to try to go through it. Sinetto, Osen, and Cam, they're up above 297, close to cracking that 300-point mark. Really making a statement as Toons quickly getting targeted out, forced to use his misform, reposition, trying to stay alive. Top 5 situation. Most of the teams down below are in shambles, separated. Cam's ready to finish the job. He's going to be one playing disruptor for the team on high.
HQ final eliminations right now. Cyclops and VLAX break 200 points, and it looks like they have done it right now. Talk about a celebratory finish right here for them. Coming into game 5 right now, riding this all the way into a top 5. But you have enough, Salt and Smiley just still holding on to the dream. So this is really going to come down to their performance right now. How badly do they want finals? Can they get a piece of these 11 players, 10 players now standing? They need the elims.
Yeah, some are sitting, waiting, watching for this one to play out because they don't have control over their destiny, but they are one of the few teams that do. They just need to continue to push themselves further and further in towards this end game. As HQ, he's able to get elimination close, but that one's stolen away by Smiley. Both teams converging down below. The third and final team up above, that's Sinetto, Osid, Cam, and you're seeing they're consolidating all the heals onto one player as the just in case when the heal off happens. Down below, they're trying to do the same thing, making sure they have the misform, making sure they have the chug. 3 medkits as well, but the clash is inevitable. They trade shots, downs on each one of these teams. Smiley, he goes down as well. He had all the heals enough, is now trying to stay alive, but his chances at winning went out the window. Cyclops finds another opportunity, gets all of those heals while enough. He's doing what he can to stay alive. Leaks is down below. That could be the elimination to give him more time with the Siphon.
It's the qualification elims right now. He needs to secure himself those last points, but I don't think he found them in the end. It really is going to go the distance. I am enough trying to run his way back, seeing if he can actually heal his way through this. Hey, listen, Sid's only got 40 HP, but no, enough. Didn't put the wall up. Heal gets interrupted. Cam gets it in the last second. Sinetto finds himself a med miss and some extra heals too. So that's going to be all she wrote. Nice little med miss to give himself some distance here. I am enough. Siphon comes through for him, so it's going to buy him a little bit more time. But I think Sinetto's got this so long as his map was good. And surely it is going to be there in the end. Sinetto sitting Cam goes straight to finals.
I had to do a double take there at the end, looking at his loadout. I'm like, chug jug, med kit, med miss smoke, another chug jug, cape. I'm like, there's not even a weapon in his inventory. That's how hard he went to make sure they got that win at the end of the day. They played perfect, or as close to it as possible, dominating the top of the leaderboards. And when it came down to it, they didn't even need it because they closed out the day with a win. That has to be confidence at an all-time high going into grand finals.
By and far away the best team, just consistent, and then of course taking the win there to really put the cherry on top of themselves. But that was the upsetter right there for I Am Enough. I think them just stealing away those eliminations when it really mattered. You know, although he got a second, he almost played for the win there. Sinetto, Cam, and Sid also do something significant here, Jacob. They open up the standings for another team.
No, rightfully so. I was looking at the bottom of the leaderboard. Cyclops, HQ, Fleeks, we got Aimred, Gary, Angel, Neko, Fishy, Zombie. All of them were on the bubble trying to figure out, even become mathematicians, how many Elans, how many placement points. But that's going to do it from myself and Monster D-Face for the group stages. I'm going to throw it to Z because we need to know who's going to finals.
Thank you so much, Jacob and MDF. Fantastic cast on the day. My, oh my. 5 games down, and now here we are. We know who we're going through. And what started as a crazy day ends as a crazy day. Guys, I kind of want to start. Obviously, this is exciting, right? And I love to see these trios make it through the grand finals. I want to turn attention to the consistency leaderboard, though. In this last game, with Sinetto moving up, they actually pull in I Am Enough. In that last game, they pull out the second place with 10 elims. Guys, they needed that to happen. They needed that performance right there to push them through. And again, because Sinetto, Chem, and Sid got the victory royale, it was enough, right? They would have actually pushed out Aimred, excuse me, Gary and Angel. But again, those top end players getting that victory royale, it's so big for the lobby, Kelly. It's so big.
Especially when you're just looking at like the names that like just barely made that, like, you know, getting into this top 5 for consistency is so important, especially in the final group stage. And, you know, I know we were all sweating for a moment there. Ritual, Cold, Peterbot not getting a victory royale. Are they even going to make it in? Well, yeah, they're first as far as consistency goes. And I mean, we saw it with Acorn's trio in Group 1, and we even saw a little bit of it with Clix's trio in Group 2. But Peterbot, Ritual, and Cold, I think what they wanted out of today, they got exactly what they wanted.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's like, yeah, they didn't win the game, right? They didn't necessarily, you know, come out and have a showing that Clix did and Acorn did. But yeah, like Kelly said, I mean, for whatever reason, you know, Peterbot, Ritual, and Cold, you know, switched up their job spots, looking to kind of defend that going into grand finals over at Brutal. Wanted to go ahead and defend that from Edgy. And yeah, I mean, they just continuously found them throughout the day. Even in that last game right there, 8th zone, I was like, how in the world in 8th zone are you kind of finding this isolated fight against a team that you have a target on their backs? But yeah, not necessarily the typical Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual fashion that we would have necessarily expected. But like Kelly said, they got done what they wanted to get done today.
Yeah, obviously next weekend being grand finals, everything will be a bit different, right? We're playing for global championship spots for some. For others, we're looking to play for more prize money, right? The higher we can end on the leaderboard will mean the more goes directly into our pockets, right? So, and I'm also curious, right? Will we see Pollo, oh my God. Peterbot, Pollo, there we go. Thank you, brain. Actually decide we're gonna contest each other. Like, grands? Is that the time, Kelly? Is this... I mean, I guess for them, it really doesn't matter, right? They're already qualified
No,
to
it
globals.
matters. Oh my gosh, Zeke, it matters so much because this isn't just about Major 3 Grand Finals. This is about the Global Championships, and this is about posturing yourself into the Global Championships. So even though both of them are incredible trios, and we know that contested trios don't do that well, being the best out of those two in their situation means, I think, so much more to them than getting a top 3. It has been the Peterbot versus Pollo story all year long, and we gotta find the thrilling conclusion of it, Zeke. I don't think this is about grand finals. I think this is about so much more between these two players.
Yeah, Zeke, it's about sending a message, man. You know, with that being said, listen, you know, all of our teams, all but 3, we're going into grand finals, and I feel like we've got a long week ahead of us kind of preparing for that. A lot of big decisions need to be made by some of our trios, and yeah, the contestation that's going to be going on next week and all the fights, who's going to win it, it's going to be crazy.
So what you guys are saying is grand finals next week is going to be 2 storylines. It's going to be like the overarching grand finals. We want to try and qualify to globals, and then the equally as important Pollo versus Peterbot. Which one of us is going into globals as the winner? I see. Okay, I like that. I'm for that, and I'm sure the Fortnite fam are as well. With that being said, guys, that pretty much wraps up group number 3. Next stop, grand finals. Before we say goodbye, any kind of words from you two?
Incredible group stages. Thank you guys for making it so entertaining. I understand that we want these set lobbies. We want to get the grand finals right away, but of course we want to make sure that all the best trios make it through. So I love these group stages. A big shout out to all the trios for really putting on a show for all of us.
And excited in 15 games over the course of the groups, and it's kind of crazy to say this, right? Because we watched 3 groups and there was 15 games, and then we watched 1 grand final. That's gonna be 12 games, almost as much, right? We're almost getting as much Fortnite next weekend as we did over the past 2 weekends. But yeah, looking very, very forward to it. All the teams that we watched in the groups kind of coming together, and then as well, looking forward to that LCQ and seeing who goes ahead and nabs one of those last couple spots.
Oh man, so much homework to be done this week for the players. For us, it is going to be exciting, of course. This is the part I hate. We got to say goodbye wherever you're watching from, whether that was here or a viewing party. Hi Aussie chat. Hi everybody. We hope that you guys had just a fantastic time. We hope you have a fantastic week. Next week, we're going to have a more complete picture as to who is going to the global championship. And then literally after next week, the next thing is the global championship. Where has this year gone? I don't know, but I'm so here for it, and we hope that you guys are as well. Once again, thanks to these two, thanks to MDF and Jacob PR, and of course our EU team. Don't forget, if you like what you're seeing here next weekend, EU's got their own grand finals before us. You want to make sure you are there. You don't want to miss it. Until then, have a fantastic week. We love you. Keep yourself safe. We'll see you on that battle bus.
Beep, beep.